The Someone You Should Know podcast with Rick Anthony, sponsored by Summarize. Repurpose podcast, webinars, and interviews for social media, websites, and email with the help of AI, all thanks to the help of Summarize. Hi, I'm Rick Anthony, and welcome to the Someone You Should Know podcast, the podcast that focuses on musicians, authors, and interesting people. We like to say we're making a difference one artist at a time. So sit back, have a cold one, and get ready to meet someone you should know. On the podcast, this time, a husband and wife duo from Little Rock, Arkansas. Their debut album called Fiddle Keys is already garnered over 100,000 streams on Spotify and hit the U.S. iTunes Country Album Top 40 in its release. We have Cliff and Susan Prowse. Cliff and Susan, welcome to the show. How you doing?
We're great.
We're doing great. Thank you for having us.
I have to start with, what was your why for getting into music? And I want to get both of your opinions. So ladies first. Susan, what was your why for getting into music?
I saw my mom playing piano, actually in the church, and I was young and saw her playing. And of course, like a little girl watching her mom, I wanted to play piano like her. And then once I discovered, after starting piano lessons and doing classical training at the age of 7, not too far into my classical training, did I see and hear a boogie woogie piano player that made me want to play boogie woogie one day. So that would be my why. My why to continue is just the beauty and magic of connecting with people through music, and music facilitates the fun and all these venues that we perform in. And it's been the reason that I've met my husband. So, I mean, it's definitely my why in life in general. But my why to start music was piano at a young age.
All right. Cliff, how about you?
Somewhat similar story. So I remember some of my earliest memories are of my dad playing on stage. So he's really the only immediate family member that played music. He's a guitar player and singer. And I remember seeing him play in some bands. And I think even before then, though, my family kind of knew I was going to be a musician. I would be very gentle playing a piano when I was like one year old. Everybody else is banging on stuff, and I'm just trying to make chords already. So,
wonderful.
I think I was just destined to be a musician, and that's kind of all I know how to do. So
very good. Susan alluded to the fact that you two met through music. What's the story on how the two of you met and became husband and wife?
So I've lived and grown up in Little Rock, North Little Rock, Arkansas area, and she's actually from Hot Springs, but she was traveling. She had done a lot of traveling around the world the time that we met, and we happened to be playing at the same club, which is actually the club where she started doing dueling pianos, and it's a club called Willie D's in Little Rock, Arkansas.
All right.
I was just a utility player. I would play on the weekends. That just means I would play guitar or fiddle on the weekends for him. And so we met at rehearsal, and that's when we met for the first time and hit it off. That's
and then the magic happened after that. How long have you guys been married now?
Almost 8 years.
Wow, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, wait,
7 years. We don't know.
So
we spend every day with each other.
We met each other in 8 years ago, but we've been married almost 7.
Right.
7 years in July of this year.
Any young members of your band yet in your family there?
No, unless we can teach one of our 3 small dogs how to play.
Oh, you got dogs playing. Okay. Well, here's barking. Look at that.
This is Charlie Daniels. I know folks on the podcast won't be able to see Charlie Daniels, but he is a toy poodle who likes to make an appearance whenever we do podcasts. So there he is.
We have the same thing. We have the same thing on our end. This is called Cat Got Your Tongue Studios, and occasionally you'll see Chloe or Angel running across the control board here. Which is, it's kind of detrimental to us because every once in a while Chloe knows where to hit the mute buttons, and we'll be looking around going, all right, why are we not hearing anything now? And Chloe's like, where am I?
Cat goes across the screen.
Yeah.
Funny.
You call your studio Cat Got Your Tongue Studio?
Uh-huh.
Is that right?
Yeah, Cat Got Your Tongue Studios, yeah.
Me growing up, my name is Cliff, and all throughout high school, Clifford the Big Red, I'm sorry, not high school, elementary, Clifford the Big Red Dog was like a popular book and cartoon, and so I was always called Clifford the Big Red Dog. And so I called our production company Big Red Dog Productions.
Now I get it. Now I get it. All right, very good. I was going to ask you that later in the show, but we'll go from there.
None of our dogs are big or red.
Okay. Now, being married couples performing together can have its blessings, but it can also have its curses. What's the best part of being a husband and wife performing together?
I would say just, when we're together all the time, when creativity sparks, we're together and we can seize the moment. We make a really great team, and I say there's nothing better than doing what you love with the person you love. Now, the question we always get is how do you manage being together 24/7, which we are, and it's our personality types. We yin and yang, and we just are a really great team. So I think that's probably inherent to any great marriage. But to add the music to it is just like the icing on top.
All right, very good. Who gets the final say on the music?
Cliff.
Okay.
Cliff is the final say. Cliff is blessed with just a natural ability to hear music, and like he could pick up any instrument and play it just to give him a little bit of time. He plays over 12 instruments.
Wow.
I was more like trained classically and more methodical in my music journey when I started. Now I've taught myself to play by ear and write songs and all of that. That's the creative outlet for me. But Cliff is just a phenomenal musician, arranger, producer. So absolutely, Cliff gets the final say on the music.
Very good, Cliff. Nice job. There are 12 instruments. Can you kind of go through some of the things you play?
Sure. I started on drums. So drums, guitar, fiddle, bass, piano, banjo, dobro, mandolin, harmonica. I think I just said piano. A little bit of steel guitar. What else am I missing?
Lap steel?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Upright bass.
Well, upright bass. Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's definitely different than electric bass.
I'm looking at it right now.
I was going to say, I get your music room was pretty loaded with different things that he's capable of.
I know you. We can show you a little bit.
That's a nice looking studio. What kind of board is that?
So it's a Presonus Studio Live 32S. So we've got some guitar amps and guitars all in the background. You can see my upright bass.
Oh, look at that! That's handsome, very handsome looking bass.
We've got the 78 Fender Rhodes. Yeah. So we got it.
Love the sound of a Fender Rhodes. That and a B3 are my two favorite instruments there, as far as that goes. Very good. Now, your debut album is called Fiddle Keys, and it has seen considerable success on Spotify and iTunes. What has been the most rewarding aspect of releasing your music and having such wide acceptance?
Well, that people. I mean, I think any artist, when you release your own music, and it's kind of like sharing your baby, or like, these are your art. When it's received well, is so rewarding, especially when people sing it back to you and they're like wanting to request your music in the venues that you're performing in. To have a compilation of work and a body of work that's representative of our brand and our artistry as a duo took us 7 years. So I would say even more so rewarding that, it took us a long time to finally feel like we had the right amount of songs to then release a record that was indicative of who we are as artists. And so, I mean, I can't say enough about how rewarding it is. And then, we're up for some awards, and that's even more amazing that people are, our peers are recognizing the fact that that body of work is meeting the mark. So we're excited about everything.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, the first track we're going to feature is one that Cliff co-wrote with one of the cast of season 17 of The Voice, Cory Jackson. The song is called A Natural State, and I get a real Brad Paisley, Alabama vibe. Was that what you were going for, Cliff?
Spot on, yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
I definitely wanted to capture that. I'm a big Brad Paisley fan as well as Alabama, and I love the up tempo outros that Alabama always did, and so obviously playing fiddle, you gotta do that at the end. So I took that, and we wrote that actually we just wanted to have a writing session, so we got together to write, and just scrolling through my voice memos, and we're like, what ideas do we have? And I had this little guitar riff, the actual acoustic guitar riff that you hear at the intro of the song. And I started playing that, and he was like, Oh, you know what? I think, I've always wanted to write something about the natural state of Arkansas. And so I think I had come up with the chorus, and then we wrote the rest of it together. And that was a fun little writing session that turned into something cool.
Fun fact, it never says Arkansas in the lyrics, but we are the natural state, which is our state motto. Yes. So the natural state is the theme there, but definitely all about Arkansas, but really bleeds over into any southern state. It'll paint lyrically, how you feel when you were growing up in those southern states.
Would it be nice if somewhere down the road this thing becomes such a success, it gets adopted kind of like Georgia on My Mind as the state license plate? That's Cliff and Susan's song from many years ago when they first debuted before they wound up winning all those Grammys and all those ACMs and CMA awards. Yeah, I remember them when they were on that podcast show a long time ago. What is it? If you kind of will it into action, it happens, or something like that. Here it is from the album Fiddle Keys. It's Cliff and Susan with A Natural State right here on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
It's a flat bottom boat on the water's wake, a good fishing pole and an ice cold drink. Gotta be back at home by supper. Try to sneak a bite while your mother prays. Paper plates in a Dixie cup, that's the way it was growing up in a natural state. It's a rocking chair in an old porch swing. Daddy picks around while Mama sings. Lay back and chill a little, listen to the sound of a fiddle play. Yeah, I got everything I need underneath the stars in a natural state. Just get a taste of that honeysuckle growing wild on a hillside. It's a kind of place you can take it slow like a wandering glow of a firefly. It's all around, just come on down to a natural state. It's a sunrise shining on the Ozark Hills, mockingbird singing its song on the windowsill. Rope swing in the summertime weather. Some things just go together that way. Swinging out from the riverbank, take a dive on into a natural state. Just get a taste of that honeysuckle growing wild on a hillside. Kind of place where you can take it slow like a wandering glow of a firefly. You're looking for me, I'll always be in a natural state. Honeysuckle growing wild on a hillside. It's the kind of place where you can take it slow like a wandering glow of a firefly. That's home to me. I'm proud to be from a natural state.
5. Nice, smooth one right there. A Natural State from Cliff and Susan. They are our guests this time on the Someone You Should Know podcast. We're going to hear some more from their album Fiddle Keys in just a bit, but first I want to say thanks so much for tuning in to the Someone You Should Know podcast. You can check us out on the World Wide Web at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast.com. If you go there, you're going to find our archive of more than 190 episodes, plus recent news and everything else that's been going on. We invite you to check it out and let us know how we're doing, okay? According to Buzzsprout, the service that shares us to all the streaming platforms, so very blessed to reach over 2,300 cities and 90 countries around the world. And we're going to salute some from Cliff and Susan's home state of Arkansas. A natural state. Bentonville, Cabot, El Dorado, Elkins, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Heber Springs, Hot Springs, where you're from, and Little Rock, where you're from. Rogers, Searcy, and that's just to name a few of the fine cities in Arkansas listening to the Someone You Should Know podcast, heard wherever quality streaming audio is available. Hi, it's Rick again for Summarize. Summarize repurposes your content from audio and video into engaging, shareable social posts, email content, summaries, quotes, and more. Hey, it's hard work to create high-quality content from podcasts and video content. Summarize gives you multiple types of content to support your marketing channels, from social media posts and email newsletters to show summaries and a whole lot more. As a matter of fact, if you go there today, you can upload up to 60 minutes for free and find out why I like it so much. Go to summarize.com to learn more. That's SUMMARAIZE.com. Thanks for listening, and now back to our podcast. We thank you for listening. We were talking to Cliff and Susan about their brand new album called Fiddle Keys. I read somewhere that you have an archive of more than 2,000 songs in your repertoire. Now, how do you navigate what songs you're going to put on albums, what songs you're going to play in live performances? Is there a method to the madness?
Well, after 20 years of playing in piano bars, a lot of them are piano bars, but in all request shows where the name of the game is to learn as many songs as possible.
Oh, wow.
These are cover songs, and it's going to be, the genres span country, rock, oldies, blues, even rap, hip hop. I mean, anything that people want to hear in a show, it's always good to know songs. So we both have together counted. We're actually probably nearing the 3,000 mark. And those are cover songs, meaning like people know and love these top 40 indie genre type of Rolodex of songs. Now, to answer the question on how we choose them, we do let requests kind of dictate what we play, but we read a room. It's very fascinating to me that it's scientifically proven that people really like and their emotions are tied to the music they were listening to during their formative years between the ages of 15 and 22. So it's our job to read a room, know where we are geographically and what works in that area, as well as how the age and the room demographic, and then play music that ties to the formative years of those folks. And then as we navigate throughout the evening, we kind of can see what works and keep a good variety. That's always important. When it comes, go ahead.
Go ahead. I have a funny story to relate to what you're talking about there a little later when we do our Tales from the Road section here. But keep that in mind. I interrupted you. Go ahead, hon.
Oh, just the last thing I was going to say the original set is like, we do play. We will sprinkle in some of our original music into the cover shows so that people can know that we have our own music. And it
does get requested.
It does get requested now. And we have CDs and albums and vinyl for sale. So we'll use that as a moment to tease the fact that we have our album for sale in the venue. And then we are doing a good number of our own shows that are just, set list driven, meaning those are original set shows. We're about to open for Sawyer Brown. And so, yeah. So we're excited about our upcoming opportunities to really share and dig into our original music set. Awesome.
Very good. Plus, you've got the summer, you've got a lot of probably county fairs and such. So good luck on that circuit as well, too. Now, in addition to your music career, you're deeply involved with artist development. You mentioned Big Red Dog Productions. That's named from Clifford right there. And you've also got an e-commerce venture called Rainy Ray. What is the story on all these things, and how do they help complement you as musicians?
Well, Big Red Dog Productions is really, it started when I was still living with my grandmother, and just getting into engineering and being a sound engineer with some different DAWs that I started on, and I interned at a couple studios, and so I really have always been super interested in sound engineering and production and all of the behind the scenes stuff that you don't get to see that goes into music production. And so I've been doing that for over 10 years. And but also we produce a lot of events under the name of our Big Red Dog Productions company. We do, like you said, artist development, and we love to help artists. And she's got another venture that she'll talk about that more, that we kind of started from that to help artists get their websites and EPKs and social medias and everything in between. But mainly Big Red Dog Productions was started just to be able to record our own music and not have to go spend $1 bajillion elsewhere to record our own music.
Well, and it's nice to be able to do it right here when we feel like it, not have to drive to Nashville. And of course, we have now recorded in Muscle Shoals, and we've both recorded in Nashville. So there's a time and place for us to do that, but it's really nice for us to be able to have our own production company. And, some of these recordings that we're doing is a great starting point for us to paint on the palette of music what kind of arrangement we want. And then we take that production and we took that to Muscle Shoals, and then Muscle Shoals, we actually recorded with the Swampers, and they took our recording from our studio kind of as a demo work tape to then, inform what we did in the studio there at Fame.
Wow. So you worked, oh my God, you worked with the Swampers, the famous Swampers. Good Lord. That's amazing. Plus having a home studio. I mean, creativity isn't limited to 9 to 5. I mean, you might have something pop in after you're having dinner or something like that, and you hop in the studio. Next thing you know, you got another single or whatever like that. It's nice to have that luxury of having a home studio there. That's really cool, and it's a good looking studio too. And from what I've heard on the music that we've been playing here, it sounds really well produced as well. Now, the next single is actually the title cut. It's called Fiddle Keys. What is the story on Fiddle Keys, the actual title?
Well, we were in Santa Barbara, and we were thinking, what song should we write that allows us to perform that high energy? Well, I will say, notably, our key signature instruments are fiddle and keys. I'm on keyboard. Cliff's a lot on the guitar. You hear a lot of chicken picking and great guitar work. And he's in our live shows, he's on the guitar about 80% of the time. And then when he picks that fiddle up, everybody just, mind blown, because not only is he an incredible fiddle player, but you don't see that a lot. And so, the Charlie Daniels gets requested, and then I say where Charlie Daniels meets Jerry Lee Lewis. And if Charlie Daniels were to have married a female version of Jerry Lee Lewis, that's kind of a tagline we've been using, and people say that's pretty spot on. So when we were wanting to write this song, we're like, let's write a song that allows you to rock a fiddle and me to rock keys. And so there was the title that kind of came out of it. The hook, baby, won't you play me just a little, please? You play the fiddle and I'll play the keys. That was the first lyric that happened. And then from there, we knew we wanted it to be upbeat. We wanted to allow each other to have a signature solo on each of those instruments. And then we decided that we wanted to tell our story lyrically. So that song, from a branding and marketing standpoint, is really spot on. It's everything we are as a music duo. It tells our story. It allows us to perform, do what we do nationally on stage. That is one of our flagship, leading assets. And then it got us on national television. So it's been a really good song. And then it turned into the title track, obviously, for obvious reasons.
All right, very good. Fiddle Keys from Cliff and Susan's debut album. Here it is right now on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
Baby, won't you play me just a little, please? You play the fiddle and I'll play the keys. For a war, I was happy on my own, playing piano and having fun, getting ready for the show. He walked in and said, pull it out, show me what everyone's been talking about. Baby, won't you play me just a little, please? You play the fiddle and I'll play the keys. Drugstore during the week, they said come and play this weekend down in Willie D's. There was a hard-licking mama who was rocking her eyes. She said, won't you play me just a little fiddle tonight? You can play it fast or you can play it slow. No matter what you do, pick it up and go. I said I'm gonna play a song
something that'll bring you to your knees. I'll play the fiddle and you play the keys.
I figured out the perfect plan. You play Charlie, I'll play Jerry Lee.
I'll play the fiddle and you play the keys.
That's a great song right there. Cliff and Susan, the title cut from their debut album called Fiddle Keys. Now, besides all the creative things that they do, from being on stage to being in the studio, you've also got a podcast. Cliff and Susan podcast, which we're going to send a link down to in our show notes. So I want people to check that out after they check out this podcast to find a little bit more about you. What exactly do you talk about on your podcast?
Oh, we lead with we're a Cliff and Susan. We're a married music duo with a full-time music career, sharing our behind the scenes of all things that we do as artists and business owners in the state of Arkansas. So it really allows us to kind of just sit and chat and talk about where we are in our music career. We'll bring on fellow artists that maybe Cliff's producing and highlight a song or two that they might want to perform on the podcast, or business owners here in the state. Maybe we're working with a festival or a fair and we bring on somebody that's been a partner within that, and we talk about, their organization. So it allows us to really just kind of lift up the hood and take a look at what we're doing as artists with our business here in Arkansas. It allows us a big widespread umbrella, I would say.
I think it's really neat to see all the technology we have today. We were talking about the fact that, instead of having to drive to Nashville to produce a song, it's amazing what you can do nowadays, especially since the pandemic. I mean, the pandemic made us realize all the things, the capabilities we can do in our home studio. I mean, I was broadcasting my show on the radio from here, in my home studio here. And it actually sounded just as good as I was right there in the studio. But it's amazing what you can do nowadays in these podcasts, doing this thing over Zoom. It's just so easy. I talk to people all around the world, and it seems like they're just right next to me, and it just sounds great. Here you're down in Arkansas, we're up in Chicago, and we're having a good conversation here. This next feature is called Tales from the Road. These are these infamous road stories where things didn't go quite as planned. Kind of think Spinal Tap, if you've seen the movie Spinal Tap. I know a lot of times you get on stage, everything just goes absolutely perfect, but Cliff, you being the technician there, I'm sure there's been a couple of times where things didn't go quite as planned. What would you say would be your Tales from the Road?
There have been instances, this is honestly just a fault of my own brain, not anything technical, but we've had a couple occasions where we've driven off and we're down the road 30 minutes and have completely forgotten my fiddle, or she's gotten to a gig. Actually, one of the first gigs I ever played with her, we got to the gig and she was like, I forgot my piano.
Like the piano.
I was like, that's kind of important.
Yeah. So my mom saved the day on that one. We did run out of gas once. We ran out of gas on the way to a very important show. And we got to talking to his grandmother, who is one of our biggest fans. And we talk to her every day, and we get to talking, and we just didn't realize we needed to have stopped at the gas station. So we ran out of gas, and a friend of ours showed up with the gas tank, and we were still we had given ourselves enough time to make the show that we did not end up starting late, thankfully. Yeah, those are two. What was the one? Oh, recently we didn't make it to Muscle Shoals in time to do a podcast interview. So we pulled over in the Starbucks parking lot and popped up the camera or the Zoom in the dash of our 4Runner. And we're like, well, this is part of our story. This is what you want. We're here for it, so, and it actually worked fine. But those are some, I mean, we have lots of crazy stories, probably not to be shared on a podcast, that happen in shows when there's adult drinking involved and just craziness that happens in our shows, which is kind of one of the fun things to note about our shows, is that you never know what's going to happen, and we'll make characters out of the crowd members. If they're doing something funny, we'll work them into the show.
That shows professionalism right there, when you can do that. And overcome a drawback or something that is not working properly, and you can make something funny, and you make lemonade out of lemons. That shows true professionalism right there. So I applaud you too, as far as that goes. I've heard so many through the years as far as that goes. Usually has to do with a girlfriend making eyes at the band and the guy not liking it, and the fight breaks out. Next thing you know, bottles are thrown, and they're going to the hospital because they got a gash in their forehead from someone threw a bottle or whatever it might be. You always get those. Go ahead.
I'll tell you a story that I don't think is too terrible to tell. So the song "I've Had the Time of My Life."
Yeah, exactly. Oh no.
In the movie, So the guy goes to lift the girl. Well, we were at the casino, and this young, beautiful couple comes in, and she's wearing this long dress, and we're doing it, and they decide to take it upon themselves to reenact the moment. Okay. So, and he goes to lift her, and his thumb catches the bottom of her dress, and he goes up, and she's not wearing any undergarments.
Oh.
And so he's got her flying above his head, and then he's swinging her around, and the whole crowd got it. And so she is mortified. When he puts her down, she runs away. A song later, she comes back in and takes a bow, and the crowd goes wild, and everybody, it was actually, that was one of the more memorable stories that happened. And it was like, what are you going to do? It happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You just roll with the punches. I had we were talking earlier about reading a room. I had to work a New Year's Eve. I was working at a radio station. It was classic hits. Freebird, American Pie, Stairway to Heaven, those things there. Well, we were doing a countdown of the top 96 classic hit songs. Okay. The place I was working at was a club that played hip hop and top 40 music and such. And this crowd wanted a party for New Year's Eve. And they brought me in. I'm in my tuxedo and everything like this, and I'm playing the stuff that we're playing at the radio station. And the owner goes, "What are you doing?" I said, this is what you booked. Apparently, the salesperson at our radio station did not exactly say what kind of music we play at our radio station. They thought I was just a DJ that was going to come in and play the hip-hop music and stuff like that. So I had the audience revolting against us. It was 12 degrees outside. They had oversold the venue. They ran out of food at 9:30. And get this, they ran out of alcohol at 11:45. So I'm doing 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. Last call.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
So reading a room is very, very important. You're absolutely right as far as that particular thing. And I think you got it down pat. Now, looking ahead, what are some of your goals and aspirations for Cliff and Susan for like the remainder of 2024, like this summer and the rest of the year?
In November, we will be on the island of St. Martin, which is a fun this will be our 12th year, 12th or 13th year. I can't remember. For me, yeah. Cliff joined me, of course, when we met immediately. That was one of the first big gigs you did with me. I flew him down there as my boyfriend. He was my boyfriend at the time, and we did our show. And so all of November there. As far as our shows go, we do over 200 shows a year, so there's a lot of them. But I will say one of our biggest goals is to continue to really pitch ourselves to these opener spots with big names in the music industry to start getting our original music out there and booking more original shows. So that's one of our big goals there.
Wow. I used to be a licensed pilot, and St. Martin is one of my, Princess Juliana Airport is one of my favorite to fly into because the beach is right there at the end of the runway. That's the one you see in those videos where people are riding the fence as the jets are taking off. Yeah. Do you ever play the Sunset Beach Bar, or where you play at?
Actually have.
We did once during the pandemic. We played Sunset Beach Bar because we were kind of pivoting and doing some more atypical shows on the island, but we play 6 nights a week at the Red Piano. It's the same kind of concept as we do in Santa Barbara, but it's actually the same owners that started the one in the islands. So with 6 shows a week, it's hard to play anything other than that one venue. Yeah. But we've been voted out to yachts to play on yachts. We've played at villas there on the island. In fact, fun fact, I got my pilot's license in 2009. I would not be comfortable flying right now. It's been way too long since I've flown.
2009 also. I got mine in 2009 also. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
But yeah, so that airport is iconic. I mean, if anyone has ever seen the big air jet, the jets flying over the beach, it looks like it's going to hit somebody in the head as it lands. That's St. Martin.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got my simulator. I don't fly anymore. I've got my simulator, and I've got a real nice rig and everything with the 49-inch screen and the everything, awesome. Everything like that. And I fly that from time to time just to keep my proficiency up. That and maybe Courchevel Airport in France. Just one of those oddball ones. Hey, let's talk about your socials, because I want people to keep track of what's going on with you and where you're going to be next. I'll give us a list of some of your socials. We'll include those down in the show notes.
Well, you can find us pretty much everywhere at Cliff and Susan on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Yeah, we're on TikTok. We're even on LinkedIn and Snapchat and Twitter.
Now, Twitter, we're Cliff_and_Susan, because we couldn't get Cliff and Susan. But honestly, if you just search Cliff and Susan on any platform, you'll find us.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll include that down in the show notes to make sure everyone finds it. If it doesn't matter, whatever platform you're on, we'll find you and make sure that we'll get you there. Final track we're going to feature is called Neon Dreams. What's your thoughts on Neon Dreams?
So this is a song that a friend of mine that I write a lot with, used to anyway, Bobby Cockerham, he was over at our house one day and he was like, "Hey, I've got an idea for a song that you need to write. Just write a song called Neon Dreams." And so that song got written, kind of actually the chorus. I woke up and I just had this chorus in my head when I woke up. And
he rolled over and said, "What do you think about this?" and sang it to me. I said, "That's it. Let's record that." He's actually come up with a lot when right out of
a natural state. That's how that chorus came about as well.
Yeah, he I guess his subconscious when he's dreaming, when he first wakes up, can lend some really amazing lyrics. So that's how that one was. That's a co-write between Cliff, me, and Bree Ogden, who is a young artist here in Arkansas.
And this is actually the first track on the album, and it was all recorded here, like many of the others, and I played all the instruments on it as well. Yeah. And
it made top 10 UK country charts when we released it.
Wonderful.
This was the track that we released to tease the album. So I think it was early October of 2023, about 4 weeks before the actual album dropped. So we got a lot of good momentum.
Awesome. Great way to wrap up the show. Awesome. Very good. I want everyone to check out this band. Cliff and Susan, it's been a delight to have you on there. And I want to say thank you for being part of our growing Someone You Should Know podcast family.
We're honored to be here. Thank you
so much.
Thank you for having us. Well, let's do it again.
Yeah, when you get that Grammy.
Yeah.
Or the CMA or the ACM.
Make a date.
Red sign glow with the couple letters gone. The doors don't open till 8. Tammy Joe's number still written on the wall in the hall when you walk backstage. Tune up the 6-string, crank it up loud. Hands up in the air, let it all hang out. Just a little dive that you never heard of, but it's what I love. And I'll just keep chasing that neon with me on the stage I wanna be on. Shoot up to the sky, getting high like Elon. Make a little noise at the end of the week, trying to keep up with these neon dreams. There ain't nothing better than the feeling that you get when you got them in the palm of your hand. Singing every word to a Hank Jr. song here with all my rowdy friends. Start off the weekend jumping off the deep end, party till the sun comes up. It's a slow down, hold down, hang it up and throw down kind of buzz. And I'll just keep chasing that neon with me on the stage I wanna be on. Shoot up to the sky, getting high like Elon. Have a little fun at the end of the week, just trying to keep up with these neon. about the fame. Even if I never make it, hell, to me it's all the same. But maybe one day I'll be the biggest damn star you've ever heard of, and I'll just keep chasing that neon with me on a stage I wanna be on. Shoot up to the sky, getting high like Elon, make a little noise at the end of the week, just trying to keep up with these. Neon with me on a stage I wanna be on. Shoot up to the sky, getting high like Elon, have a little fun at the end of the week, just trying to keep up with these neon dreams. Yeah, these neon dreams.
Hi, this is Rick Anthony, thanking you again for listening to this episode of Someone You Should Know. Now, if you're an aspiring musician or an established musician that's looking for a little exposure, I invite you to drop us a line at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. That's someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. Also, I invite you to tell a friend about the Someone You Should Know podcast. I thank you for tuning in this time, and I invite you to check us out next time on the Someone You Should Know podcast, because you never know who's going to show up. Until next time, remember, God loves you, and so do I.